Hey everyone, welcome to Tripods. I'm Theo, and today we're going to turn this Nerf Doublestrike into a Star Wars blaster. Let's get into it. So this Nerf gun is something that I've just had lying around for the past few years or so. I think you can pick one up for like £20 on Amazon, but it's just got a really nice design. And I thought that if I gave it a paint job and some weathering and a leather grip, because I thought that could look really cool, it could really look like a Star Wars prop. Firstly, I took the screws out of the blaster. And make sure if you're doing this at home that you put them back in a way that you can remember them. Personally, I go from like left to right and I keep them in that order. Now before we completely gut it, I suggest you take a few photos of the insides because we want this thing to function when we put it back together. So just to remember the way it fits back is going to be really useful. The next step is sanding. So you're going to want to sand away all the labeling and sort of brand stuff which is on the main body and the barrel mainly. I personally like to sand with a rougher grit paper and then go over it with a smoother one. It's time efficient and it just keeps the nice look. The most important part here is that you sand the trigger really nicely. So you're going to want to use the same technique we spoke about earlier, high grit, low grit, and just keep going like that. And it's so important because with the trigger, it's going to be scratching quite a bit, and if you don't sand it back, the paint's going to chip really easily, and it's just going to go back to that orange at the start, and that's obviously something that we don't want. So before we start painting, as the hammer is one big piece, what you're going to want to do is tape out the bottom, the part that's just not going to be showing, just that the insides still work really nicely and you don't have to sand that down at all. And once we've finished all that, it's finally time to start the first coat, metallic silver. So I'm using some Montana Gold NC acrylic spray paint, and it's not specifically for plastics, but it honestly just looks really nice anyway. Something that I like to do with spray painting is so for example, it works with this really well. You just put a piece of string through the hole and just tie it in, and that it basically just means that you can get no paint on your hands. You can take it off easily. You can sort of just dangle it away and also get a nice even coat. So let's do that now, shall we? So we're going to want to paint the main body silver, the barrel silver, the trigger silver, and the hammer silver. Dry! Now we start to get to the real fun stuff. What you're going to want to do is whip out some of your mustard. Yes, mustard. The idea is that you apply the mustard before your next coat, and once you do the next coat, which in this case is going to be black, when you take off the mustard it gives the effect of chip paint. Now this gives it a really nice weathered look, and to make this the most effective, what you're going to want to do is put the mustard on all the sharp edges, because that's where the paint is most commonly chipped, and also some blodges in certain places just to give the flat parts a bit more of an interesting look. But this part is really up to you. It's all about where you want it. It's not really like there's not a certain way to do it. After the black coat of paint is done, you're going to want to wait for the paint to fully harden. No, not so that it's touch dry, but for it to fully harden, which is going to be about 12 hours. And only at this point can you do the next step, which is to wipe off some of that mustard and reveal the underlying silver. And it's really important that you don't do this before the 12 hours, otherwise you're going to end up taking off parts of the paint that you don't want to take off, so parts of the black that you hadn't marked with mustard. Now that all the paint is done, the next step is to put a sealer on it. Now I'm using Tetrion Easy Spray Paint, it works really well. The reason we're using a sealer is just to make sure that the paint doesn't get chipped. It's really important, especially for the trigger and the hammer. Now you're going to want to do this to all the parts that you've painted so far. And now after 24 hours, and yes, it's really important that you do it after 24 hours, when the sealer's dry, then you can take off the tape from the hammer and you've done pretty much all your spray painting that you're going to need to do. Next step is to use some shoe polish. We're going to put some kiwi over it, some shoe polish, the best shoe polish. If you use any other shoe polish, you're just wrong. Shoe polish is just a really useful tool. It makes the blaster look really weathered, and it just gives it that extra edge. It just looks really wonderful once it's done. With the shoe polish, you're going to want to brush on the coat, so you're going to want to get a lot. Here I'm not using enough, honestly, I'm not getting enough. I was having a problem with my shoe polish container, I don't know what you'd call it. But you're going to want to get lots and lots of that shoe polish. Brush it over the entire thing, wait a minute or so for it to dry a bit, and then dab it over with a paper towel. I suggest you dab it rather than wiping, because wiping gives these like brush-like mark, and you want it to look like dirt, so you just want to dab it on. Now it's time to reassemble the blaster, and this is when those photos we took earlier become really, really useful. So after trying to put this thing back together for about half an hour, I realised that on this piece, this trigger piece, there's a tiny, weeny little hole, not right there to the left of it, and that's where the spiky bit goes into, that bit. And took me a long time to figure that out. I am very tired with this thing, so I am going to do that, and then I'm going to get on to doing the leather strap, which hopefully is going to be very, very nice. And also a change from this, because this is not fun. This took me half an hour. So now it's time to do, honestly, my favourite part. It's time to do the grip. So for the grip, you can, if you want, you can just paint over the sort of the mold they've made with acrylic or something, but I really want it to feel really real. So I'm going to use some fake leather. I don't have any leather at the moment. If you do, feel free to use it. It will probably give the same effect, if not a better one. So I'm cutting from a big piece of fake leather. You can do it from a strip if you want, but I'm making mine 1 centimeter thick because it about is the same thickness as the wrappings on the mold for the blaster. Once you've cut a strip of leather, you're going to want to start by putting the end of the strip against the bottom and the inside center of the blaster where the seam is. Now once you've done this, you're going to want to make a mark on the leather where the bottom of the pattern overlaps so that you can cut the diagonal line across the leather. Now that I've done that, I stuck the bottom piece down just so that it would be a bit easier to trace and plan out the way I was going to wrap it before using the hot glue to stick the entire thing down. After I had a plan, I just went through the process of using the hot glue and slowly wrapping the strip up and up the handle. And something I find really useful, specifically on this blaster, is with the curved handle to have the leather on the outside just touching, and also the leather on the inside of the curve sort of wrapping and overlapping over each other. It just means that it's not as bulky, and it also just looks a lot nicer and it's comfortable.
And now I'm just going through the same process that we went through on the bottom of the blaster, making a mark on the end, the bit that we want the leather to end, and then cutting that diagonal line, and then sticking it to the blaster with hot glue.
And finally, I just painted some shoe polish on the leather to give it a more of a weathered look. So, let's see how it turned out. Everyone, thank you so very much for watching. I am so blown away by this result. I'm super happy with it. And I'd just like to thank you for all the support you've been giving. At the moment, we have 35 subscribers, which is absolutely incredible for just 2 months on YouTube. And my Empress unboxing video has got 900 views, which is actually like genuinely insane. Thank you so much for all the support, and like, subscribe, turn on notifications if you enjoyed the video. I'm gonna do a lot more of these sort of makeovers and stuff like that in the future because I enjoyed it so much. If you make them, please send an email or something like that of the product you made. I'm sure it's gonna be better than this. So guys, I've been editing this video and it's 10:30 now, and I'm literally just about to post this. And I was looking at our channel and we have 37 subscribers now, which is like actually insane. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, do that kind of thing if you enjoyed the video. I've been Theo from Tripods. Goodbye.